radio show. Give it up for your phenomenal host, Natascha Harried.
Hello and welcome to Relevant Live. I am your host, Natascha Harried, and I am so glad that you are joining us for this very special show. The topic of today's show is letting go, and we are going to talk about what that looks like in our lives every day. Whether it's addictions, whether it is harmful behaviors, toxic relationships, letting go of the idea of what we thought our life would be and embracing what it truly is. We're going to talk about it all. I want you to sit back and join me for a very special conversation that I am going to have with Quiana Carter. It is going to be very moving as she talks about her journey of letting go. I want you to stick and stay with us and join us for this very moving conversation. And welcome to Relevant Live with your host, Natascha Harried. And our topic for today is letting go. And we are going to have an incredible conversation with Quiana Carter. And I am really looking forward to hearing more about her story, and I know that it will inspire you. Welcome, Quiana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a mom of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy. My oldest is 27. My youngest, my son, my daughter's 27, my son is 25, and then my youngest is 21. We have 3 beautiful grandsons and 1 newborn granddaughter. So I'm a homebody, I'm a family person, so I love family. I work in the field with empowering families. I am a family home educator. I love educating people, especially babies. I love doing that. I just turned 47 last month.
All right.
I'm happy about that. I just turned 47 last month. And I love butterflies, if you can't tell.
I see a theme going.
Yes, ma'am.
Do they hold some significance for you, the butterflies?
Yes.
Tell
Yes.
us about that.
They represent a new beginning, just the whole transformation portion of it, like how they had to embody themselves and like close up to be able to just blossom and become something so beautiful. Sometimes you have to isolate yourself to become the person that you need to be or that God wants you to be. So, and I found myself doing that a lot lately.
I love that.
Thank you.
Because sometimes we look at that isolation as a bad thing, but really it's in order to birth out who we are meant to be. So
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, so as I said, today's topic is letting go. And we're looking at it from the perspective of letting go of things that harm us and walking into a better version of ourselves, letting go of what we thought our life would be and accepting what is, letting go of toxic relationships and situations that no longer serve us well, and embrace what God truly has for us. Kind of what you're talking about, even with the butterfly. So what are some things that maybe you've had to let go in your life?
I would like to say recently, I've had to let go of self-will. I've had to let go of a lot of people, places, and things. And just being so headstrong. I'm a very independent person, so I've had to allow for people to come in and help me out. So I've just find myself shedding, and it's the same as isolation. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and again, we look at those things sometimes negatively when we have to let go of relationships or shed the old us.
Yes.
But sometimes it's for the better.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the relationships, when I mention the people, places, and things, I've had to let go a lot of that, during these last couple of years, because a lot of places that I used to go to aren't good for me anymore. Well, they weren't good for me then. But I had to realize that. In with relationships, I had to let go of some friendships, some genuine friendships, but just some of the characteristics that I saw. I love you, but I just can't put that in my space and energy anymore. So, and it's hard. I cry a lot. I'm a crybaby.
And it's, you know, for me, I guess I'm not, but I sometimes am getting to a point where, like, I don't think that's healthy either. Like, I keep too much bottled up.
Yes, let it flow.
Yeah,
let it flow. It's cleansing. Tears are cleansing.
I'm learning, and I know, like, you said turn 46. I turned 50 last year.
No, you did.
I did. And I was really in my head a lot about it. And I think I had to really let go of where I thought I would be at this age, what I thought I would be doing, and embrace really what is, you know. And so, like you say, it's for the better. Just shed those old ideas and walk into where God is just leading you to.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you have attempted to let those things go, what stood in your way, or what do you think like made it hard? Because sometimes walking into that new season, like you said, you shed some tears and things like that. Why was it difficult for you?
I stood in my own way. Pride, me being prideful, not recognizing and realizing that I was actually harming and hurting myself in certain situations. That was hard to let go of, because I am like a fixer. I'm the fixer of everything, and I don't need help. Nope, I don't need help. You need help? I got you. So, you know, just allowing for that pride to just fall off, and just know that it's okay to ask for help. I'm
right there with you. It's hard sometimes.
It is, especially if you've been doing that like your whole life. And then for you to, because you want to change, but how? Like you sometimes you just don't know how to get to where you want to go. And knowledge is power. It is so powerful. Yeah.
And then when you know better, you do better.
All the time.
And I know that addiction has been part of your journey and your story. And I wanted to talk about that, but I wanted to frame the conversation in a way that, because I was looking like, well, how do we approach it? How do we talk about it? And I wanted to come from the angle of letting go.
Yes.
You know, because sometimes I think, and that's something that we can all relate to, because maybe, you know, a viewer or a listener, maybe addiction may not be your struggle, but something else, you know, a relationship that you know that you're in, that you know that really isn't serving you well, a friend that is really not a friend, or, you know, a dead-end job that you don't get any joy from. We have to, whatever the situation is that really is harming us, we have to learn how to let it go.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so in this instance, though, letting go for you, addiction was part of that.
Yes, ma'am.
How did it manifest in your life?
Well, first I would like to say I'm a grateful recovering addict. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. It'll be 3 years in June.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much. It's not easy, but it's not hard.
Okay.
It's not hard, but it's not easy either. I want to say that addiction has manifested pretty much throughout my life. Like I never really realized and noticed my addictive ways until I went to counseling, until I went to therapy, until I talked about it and had to dig up some stuff. And I was like, oh Lord, you know, I was 5 stealing, you know, constantly, like candy, whatever it was, like that's an addiction. Like you don't see these things and you don't know, you know, these things until you actually, you know, come to and sit down and realize that you have a problem. But like I just saw that it just was getting worse and worse, and like I used to hide my addiction. Well, I thought I did. I didn't.
We think we get, you know,
I
we have
thought
it.
I hid my addiction, but I hid it from the outside, but I thought I was also hiding it from my family as well. And it that wasn't working, but I found myself not caring anymore about my appearance, about what I said, about how I did it, and especially in front of my family. And then that's why I was like, this went a little too far, because now I don't care how they feel and what they see, so it just was a snowball effect.
Yeah, yeah. Because sometimes we think we're only hurting ourselves, or this only affects me, but we don't realize how it's affecting other people, And I mean, talking about crying, I was talking to my daughters about some situations that they were going through. One of them is 32, the other one is 20. And, I was like, you have to express emotion and live in the moment. And they kind of put it back on me. It's like, well, we have never really seen, like, we see you keep going. We see you, and so we didn't think it was okay to cry. We didn't think it was okay to stop and rest. And we don't sometimes realize how we handle situations, how that affects other people. How do you feel like, so like you say, you got to a point where you kind of didn't care how you acted, how you spoke. How do you think that affected like your children or people, your family, people that loved you and were around you?
I know it hurt. We've had several conversations. My family is very close knit. They all stay with me, and I love that. I love that for my children and my grandchildren to grow up with me. But for them to see that, I didn't realize how much it affected them until we had certain conversations, and they was like, "Mama, when you were like just drunk and like it was embarrassing because I didn't care. Like friends came over, I was drinking, or I would drink with them. Like who does that? Like indulge, like it was just stuff that didn't make sense. And and especially my husband, I know that I will have to make a living amends with him. He says that he forgives me, but in my heart, I just need to make sure that I prove to you every day that that's not me, because I know I hurt you and he did not deserve anything that I did to myself or to him. And I see that now. At first I didn't care. It was all about me. I don't care. Like whatever. You'll be okay. But that wasn't right. And we have several open-ended conversations, and I love that. I love how much they let me know I hurt them. I appreciate that, because I want to be reminded of that so I won't go back to it.
I was going to ask you, was that tough to hear?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and they too know that I'm a crybaby. And I think they were trying to spare my feelings at sometimes, but I would appreciate if you don't, because it's letting me know how bad I got or how bad I am, so that I can correct it, even though I know I'm doing something wrong. Sometimes somebody have to tell you, hey, look, that's not okay. That's not cool. You be like, you know what, that's not. So sometimes somebody has to put it in your face that you're wrong.
Right. And we need people like that, like if everybody tiptoes around you, you don't reach that bottom, or you don't reach that point where you realize you need help, because they make you feel like you okay.
That bottom is something else. Sometimes your bottom got a bottom. Like you can go further down. Stop.
Yeah. So, and you talked about your husband and
my best friend.
Oh, that's sweet. So, like how, and even your children, like have any of them, have they gone to counseling or therapy, or how have they kind of healed from the experience?
When I was in rehab, I went to rehab in June of 21, and I'm sorry, 21. And my husband went through counseling. It's called Al-Anon. And it's for support for family members or people that have addictions, to give him a better understanding of like what's going on in here or try to get a better understanding. I don't even know what's going on in there. But they went through counseling, and then we would have counseling sessions on the phone while I was in rehab. My son also actually is in rehab also. I'm so excited and happy about that because it's breaking generational curses. And that's what I wanted, because like you think that's norm to drink and smoke, because that's what I grew up with. You know, when my family got together, that's all they did was drink and smoke and play games and all that other kind of stuff. So that was normal to me. No, that's not normal, and I wanted to teach my children that.
Yeah, because if that's all we see, that you're supposed to just drink till you pass out, or every time we get together, we supposed to drink. Every time. It doesn't matter. It can be a wedding, a funeral, a birthday. We drinking, we smoking, we laughing, we cussing, we doing this. It was the same thing. It didn't matter what the event we fight,
was.
And then we cussing each other out, and and we feel like it's okay, it's normal. That's what we. And I love how you went back to even. Like as a child, 5 and 6 years old, like stealing or taking, and sometimes we don't see how those things, like early behaviors were manifesting.
Yes.
And so it's replaced by something else, and then it's replaced by something else. So through therapy, you were kind of able to get some clarity on that and kind of trace it back a little bit. Yeah.
Because some stuff, I blocked out. My childhood wasn't good at all. However, I blocked it out, and I never knew why I was acting the way that I was acting, why I went to fill a void with substances, because I didn't know what was going on with me. And through the rehab and through counseling, I was able to find me. I never knew me. I wore so many masks. I'm still taking them off. So you wear so many masks because you try to be this person when, this person touched you, so you got to be like this when you were 7, so you got to be there like this around them. That person cussed you out or beat you, so you got to make sure you this person in front of. So, and then like at one point, I blocked out my whole childhood, but now I'm like, oh man, I was like that when, I was that age. And, it's just digging. Yeah. It's hard to face, but it's so necessary. It is. It is extremely necessary.
Yeah. And I'm a big advocate of therapy for myself, my children, even, in ministry, just, it's God in therapy, God in prayer, and talking that thing out. But I think sometimes we don't realize, and like you say, for you, it was like alcohol and different things like that. But for someone else that's, you've put on a mask of, in and out of relationships, that abusive relationships or toxic relationships. And for you, it might be other things that you are trying to fill that void with. And it could be something that on the surface is good. I know for one while when I was going through a divorce and I was going through a lot of pain and depression, all I knew was church. And so like I threw myself into church and I was there all the time. And I was doing this and I was doing that. And, everybody looked at me from the outside, oh, she's so faithful. She's so dedicated. But it was just because I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to face my life. I didn't want to, and so I think anything that you try to fill a void with, outside of healing, outside of God, even sometimes, like I said, I was working, I can't even say I was working for him, I was doing the work, but I was doing it to feel something else. And so, we can fall into that trap. So I want to encourage you, really look at, your why of why you're doing things, and even if it's a good thing, is it because you honestly enjoy the work and you want to be there, or are you hiding from something? Are you running from something? So we have to kind of, examine ourselves and look at our life, because sometimes we can feel like, oh, well, I'm good. I'm doing something that's good. Or we throw ourselves into our children's lives and we, running them from place to place and we got them signed up for everything. And we trying to live vicariously through them because we couldn't play baseball. We couldn't do gymnastics and and they don't even want to do half the stuff, but we're trying to live through them. And so we have to really make sure that, whatever it is that, we're doing it for the right reasons. Yeah.
And see, what some people fail to realize is that addiction isn't just about drugs. It's just not about alcohol. You can have a gambling addiction. You can have a food addiction. You can have a sex addiction. It's whatever you are obsessing and compulsing over. That is addiction. So if you have an obsession, if you wake up thinking about this, if you go to sleep thinking about this, if you can't go a day without whatever that is, it's probably an addiction. So it's not always just drug and alcohol. It's just like whatever it is. It can be, like you said, a relationship. It can be just making sure that I make enough money to take care of my family. You are addicted to that. And why? Why? Why do you feel so strongly about getting that thing? Because it's not really that important. So what is the reason that you're going after that thing so hard? And what can you do about it?
And I'm really glad that you brought that up, because sometimes, at the top of the conversation, somebody heard, well, addiction, well, that doesn't apply to me. But really, food, like say even exercise, gambling, you got to get your lottery numbers in, you got to get to the boat, and you're obsessing over that thing, and again, like I said, even with the food, so for your family, it was, like alcohol at every gathering. For somebody else's family, we eating all this food, it's soul food and stuff like that we know is not healthy for us. And then everybody got high blood pressure, diabetes, and all of that, so it's like, we may not be killing ourselves with alcohol, but we're killing ourselves with fatback and greens.
Now it's good though, but still cut back.
Right, in moderation, you know, and or sweets and stuff like that. So whatever is like controlling you, like you say, you wake up thinking about that thing. And so you mentioned going to rehab in 2021.
It was 21. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what was the point that, okay, I need to let this go. I need to change, or what was that even the desire at first?
Not necessarily. I knew I needed to change. I wanted to change. I just didn't know how. I didn't know how to change. And then, it's just that I got to the point where, and what people need to realize is that addicts don't want to be addicts. Like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to hurt our families. We don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want to put this in our body. Like, sometimes I will be crying, praying, and using at the same time. Literally, like for real, like crying and using and praying, asking God to take, I don't want to do this no more. Like, this was a daily thing. And then one day, I drank so much that I went into, I had alcohol poisoning. I had alcohol poisoning. It was, my husband was extremely scared. I didn't know what I was doing, and I go through depression as well. So with the depression and, the drugs and alcohol on top of that, when I felt bad, I just, tried to mask it. So that one day I just did it to the point where it was horrible. And then my husband came to me and he was like, I have some information if you need it. But I will always turn it down. I will always say, no, I'm good. I can do this on my own. And I tried to detox on my own. I didn't know that detoxing on your own from alcohol is probably the most deadliest thing that you can do. And I was on the floor, I'm shaking, I'm crying, I'm sweating.
Is that because of the physical effects?
Yes, and then it's in your body. Like I needed it to survive. I needed to drink. I needed the alcohol. Otherwise, my body was going to do some stuff that I didn't want it to do. So I had to put some alcohol in it so it can stop. I believe I was at the point where I almost died that night. And that was scary. That was extremely scary. My husband held me that whole night. The next morning, we called probably about like 3 or 4 rehabilitation centers. And it was this one I was stuck on Sinai Lake, and I was like, I want that one. I don't know why. I was like, I need to get in there. When I went in, they accepted me. I was in like about a week later. Third day in, I had a stroke.
Oh, wow.
I had a stroke from the detoxing. And I have migraine, so it's a combination of detoxing and stroke. I was paralyzed on the whole left side. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I couldn't do anything. I woke up in the hospital bed. My husband was like, he woke up crying, sitting next to me. I'm like, where I'm at? Wow. You know, and he was like, baby, you had a stroke. And they thought that I was going to go home. Because they was like, you going to go? I said, if I go home, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to probably kill myself because I don't know how to help myself. I don't know what to do. And now I'm depressed. I can't walk. I can't talk. Like, I can't do anything. So I'm coming home worse than that I left. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. And they was like, you are so determined. I was like, I got to do this. I have to do this for myself. I have to do this for my husband. I have to do this for my children. I have to do this for my granny. I have to do this for my granny. At the time, my granny was alive. And I said, she is going to see me clean. She going to see me clean. If I don't do nothing else, this lady's going to see me clean. And they helped me. Like, they did the physical therapy. They came in. They did acupuncture. I said, I'm walking up out of here. They was like, you think so? And I was like, I'm walking up out of here. I was determined, but like my bottom had a bottom because I thought my bottom was when I was laying on my bedroom floor, convulsing and shaking and sweating. And then 3 days later, I have a stroke. And I was like, if I had that stroke at home, my husband wouldn't have known what to do. I wouldn't even been here. So the rehabilitation center saved my life twice. When they accepted me and when they had me there. And that happened.
Wow. Amazing. I didn't realize all that had happened.
Yeah.
Wow. So how long was your rehab?
I was at Sana for... It was originally supposed to have been 30 days, but because of the stroke, it pushed it back. So I want to say probably about like 45 days. I had to stay there just a little longer because I was in the hospital, and then they wanted to make sure I was okay.
Yeah. So was it local, or were you away from your family?
It's in Ditmer, Missouri.
Okay.
It's not that far away, depending on what area you're in. It was probably about like an hour away.
Okay.
And that's another thing that my husband and I had talked about. I did not want to go to rehab that was close.
Okay, why not?
Just opportunity.
Okay.
You can call somebody. There ain't nobody finna drive no hour and a half away. Like, come get me home. I'm not driving no hour. That's a 3-hour drive there and back. No.
You on your own.
Right, but 20 minutes, hey, come pick me up. Okay, here I come.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
So, and as I'm listening to your story, like, I'm hearing a woman that's married. I'm hearing a mom, a grandmother. Were you working during this time? And so, and I think that that's really important to point out, because sometimes when we think of people like drugs, alcohol, like out on the street or just, by themselves, but you're a whole functioning person.
Yes, and that was my same mentality. I was not an addict. I'm not, and when I go to my meetings, a few of us make jokes. I was like, I was saying, I'm not one of you people. I have not that. Yeah, I got a job. I'm making such and such a year. I got a house, a car. We got 2 cars. Like, I didn't think of myself as an addict because of what I had. I was living like an addict.
Yeah, okay.
But because I'm hiding, I'm using drugs, I'm being sneaky, I'm stealing from myself, I'm putting money to the side, like literally stealing money from my husband, to be honest with you, because the money that we had together, I'm taking money out, putting it somewhere else so he won't see me swipe my card at the local liquor store to get some alcohol. So, it was just, I still had the characteristics and doing the things that an addict does, but because I didn't look like one, I wasn't an addict.
Yeah.
That was what I was telling myself.
Right.
So, like, yeah.
Yeah. And so again, like just wanting to point these things out because, sometimes somebody might be listening and they're like, well, I don't have a problem. I don't have an issue, but so what would you tell somebody, like, how do I know it's getting to be a problem?
That's really hard to say for a specific individual because some people can drink, some people can have one glass of wine, somebody can have 10 glasses of wine and be okay. Mm-hmm. I can't have a sip.
Okay.
So it's really I can't really tell somebody when they have a problem, mm-hmm. but like I knew I had a problem.
Yeah.
I knew I had a problem. I just didn't want to accept it. And when I said earlier I wanted to stop, but then again I didn't mm-hmm. because the resources was there, the help was there. I just didn't want to accept it because I really didn't want to stop. Mm-hmm. But for someone that is struggling,
I think when you find yourself hiding,
yes,
so in isolation, eating the whole cake by yourself.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like for somebody, like for me, I was with AT&T corporate for years. Got laid off, started working from home. That's not for me. That's not for me because that's when my addiction got worse. I'm at home by myself. I'm drinking. I believe on a daily, I was drinking about like 6 bottles of wine, in addition to hard liquor mixed into that. That's just how much I was drinking, and I'm hiding it from myself. I'm hiding it from my husband. I'm hiding it from my children. I'm sneaking it doing. I'm waking up at 2:00 in the morning, taking the drinking and going back to bed. So when you find yourself doing things that are related to your addiction, and you might not know that it's an addiction yet, but like you said, if you find yourself sneaking these ding dongs, or you putting them in a drawer, or putting them, up under your pillow, and you sneaking and eating it, you probably have a problem because why are you hiding? Mm-hmm. Why are you hiding that? Mm-hmm. If you're, going on the boat and you're not telling somebody where you're going because you know that they're going to be like, or you don't, right? You didn't lying about it, or you don't have the funds to do that because it is recreational for some people, but for some people you cannot do that. Right. So
if it's taken away
from if it's taken away from that, or if you want more, like it's just one more. I have to have one more. And in NA we say 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. Like 1 is too many. I can't even have that. So like if you have one of something, you'd be like, oh, I gotta have some more, and that's all you think about. You more than likely have an addiction, and it's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay to say you need help. The stigma on receiving help, addiction, mental illness, especially in our Black community, is so horrible. Yeah. That's why I was screaming from the rooftop. I'm an addict. I'm a recovering addict. I don't care. This is what I did. I can't tell you what to do, but I can help you and I can give you a suggestion. Yeah. Whether you take it or not. I would just do that.
Did you have people telling you, like, that's a good point. Did you have people saying, well, you don't actually need to go to rehab, or you can just do this on your own, or you don't have a problem. We all drink, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was like when I was saying people, places, and things I had to stay away from. Some of it were like really close family, like cousins my age. We would always go out and they like, you're fine. I was your entertainment. When we went out, you can do this on your own. You can stop on your own. No, I can't. And when I tried, I almost died. Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend that. If you drink a lot, please seek help if you want to stop. Please seek help if you want to stop. Have somebody watch you. Have somebody there with you. Do not try to do this on your own. Please don't.
Yeah. It's so important because sometimes we feel like we're ashamed to ask for help, or we know we need help. And you said something important for people that have a loved one or somebody that they're watching. Nobody wants to be an addict. Because the common question is, why don't you just stop?
I hate that question. I really do. My husband would say that. Well, now I think he has a better understanding.
Yeah.
But you norms, we call you all norms. You norms would never understand us. You norms would never understand us. But he was like, babe, why you just stop? Just stop. I'm like, I can't. Like, I literally couldn't. I cannot. I want to.
Yeah.
I can't. And then that's when the more hadn't come, because like, I don't want you to see, even if I wanted to just have something, if I could, I didn't even want to do that in front of him because, oh, there she go again. Oh, it's just that thought process. So now I'm going to sneak and drink this cup. Oh, ain't nobody here. Let me drink the whole bottle, so.
Yeah. So, and I heard you mention going to meetings now. So it's an ongoing process.
Oh, yes. Yes. I would never, it's not something that can be fixed. Addiction is a disease, and the more people learn and accept that, I think it will be more acceptable with getting help. Not accepting the disease, but being open to talking about it and being able to say, okay, how can I help you? Because somebody with cancer, you can be like, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's a disease. Right. Like, you have to go through procedures. You have to go through stuff. You have to, keep going to the doctor to make sure that it didn't come back, and, do all of these other type of things. It's not that different. So yeah, we go to meetings. I go to meetings. I do my step work, and it's a one day at a time thing. And I will never, ever, ever, ever say I got this, because that's when it has me.
Yeah.
And I don't want that back.
Yeah.
And I remember everything. I try to remember all of the bad times. I will talk about the 2 times I died all the time, and it makes me emotional. I'm surprised I didn't cry today when I was talking about it.
Coming from me, so.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't cry. I want to remember those times. Yeah. I want to remember, like, even though it was messed up that, I'm drinking and driving and swerving, and my husband behind me honking and, telling me to pull over because I almost ran into this truck. I want to remember that because I don't want to go back to it.
Yeah.
I want to remember that, how bad it was. That's going to keep me from going back there.
Yeah. So you hold on to it as motivation. Is it hard for people around you to embrace this new person that you are? You mentioned like cousins your own age, like they ready to go kick it. They knew you were the life of the party. Now, not so much, How is that for, and you mentioned your grandmother. Did she see you come through the process? Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, she saw me, and I was, and I thought I was hiding it from her too. That was not true. But she noticed the change. I never mentioned to her when I was going through the rehabilitation process. She just knew I was gone for a month. She didn't know where I was going. My husband and my children and my best friend. It was just probably like a handful of people that knew where I went and what I was doing. For several reasons. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't want anyone to try to talk me out of it. But it's some of the people that I was close to, going to your question, that I was close to in addiction, don't really like me so much now because I'm not that much fun. I am. Yeah. Like, I'm the still person. I still love to laugh, to dance. And to be honest with you, I have so much more fun sober and clean than I ever did. In my active addiction, like, I'm laughing and it's genuine. The laughter that I have, it's like, this is a true feeling. It's not something that's making me laugh at this. I can remember what I did the next day. I love that. I love that. I'm like, I remember that. Yeah. But some people, and they see what you were and what they are now. So they chose not to be around me because they know that they have a problem. And they just don't want to see the good part of it because they want to stay there, which is fine. I'm here when you're ready. I'm here
Do
when
people
you're
make
ready.
a big deal of it around you? Like, oh, I can't drink. Or, you
Oh
know.
my God, yes. I hated that, especially in the beginning, like hiding important. I was like, you're fine. You can drink. I just can't. Just give me a pretty glass. Give me some water and a lemon on the I drink out of wine glasses. I just want a pretty glass. I don't have to have nothing in it but some water and a couple of ice cubes. I'm fine. But yeah, people they don't tend to that much anymore. But I think it's more out of respect than anything with the people that I still come around. But I'm like, I wouldn't have come if it was going to be a problem.
Right.
For the first year, I stayed away from everything. I didn't go around family. I didn't go around friends. I didn't go to Schnucks. I didn't go to the gas station. If I had to go in, I had to call my husband because that's where I would buy my stuff from. And people don't realize that. That's why I was like, you got to change a whole bunch of stuff, people, places, and things. I had to do a whole detour, coming home because my normal route, the liquor store I would stop at every time. So now I can drive
So you're
that
recognizing
way.
your triggers and being intentional.
Right. So now I can drive that way. But for the first year, I had to make some changes in my life. I couldn't go, like I said, to the grocery store because that liquor aisle right there, or those little shot glasses that I can just buy and put in my purse and couldn't nobody see it. And then the same thing with the gas station. You go in, they got all that alcohol right there. So if I had to go in, I would call my husband or one of my kids and be like, okay, I'm going in. I'm going to pay for this. And then just stay on the phone with me because I was weak, and I recognized that.
Yeah.
I recognized that. So it was just like, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, you are a true queen, I tell you, and I appreciate you so much sharing your story.
Thank you.
And your journey.
Thank you.
And your strength and your resilience. I appreciate it so much. If there is somebody that is watching, I guess, could you speak to that person that is not quite on the other side of that mountain, but struggling and want to get help, but like you mentioned, dealing with shame and, embarrassment, if you could leave them some words of encouragement, and also to that person that is watching their loved one, what are some words that you would say to them in closing? So those two people.
Yes. I want to first speak to the loved one. It's not your fault what they're going through. You're not a failure because you cannot help them. Be supportive as you can, and it's going to be hard, but be supportive and vigilant. But don't nag them. Don't nag them because they don't want this. That's not something that they want. Just show the love, support, and compassion. And I would say educate yourself on whatever that addiction is and see if there's ways that you can try to help that loved one recognize what they're going through. And it's just unconditional love, because that's what saved me. My husband, unconditional love. Man, I ain't never felt nothing like this. It is so wonderful.
He sounds like an amazing
Oh, man, look, that's a whole nother segment. I'll come back and talk about him. That'll be like 3 hours out. Now for the struggling addict, it's okay. You're okay. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad person at all. You just have a disease that knows more about you than you know about it.
Wow.
So once you learn what your disease is and your triggers, then you can fight it. It's not gonna go away. It's very insidious. But the thing is that you gotta just be just a little bit stronger than it. And you are. You're extremely strong, you're brave, because you made it this far. And think of all the things that you got through in your addiction. That means he didn't want you to go nowhere. You're here. Reach out for help, seek counseling, and just listen to your family. be safe. Whatever you do, be safe.
Thank you so much. Such powerful words. And I hope that by her sharing her story, that you have been inspired, that it's definitely touched something in me. And in this, in the last few years, so many people have been touched by addiction, whether it be opioids or, just speaking of drug and alcohol addiction. And even for years, we've dealt with alcoholism in many of our families and just kind of ignored it and said, oh, that's just Uncle so-and-so, or that's just how he is, but it doesn't have to be that way, and possibly you're dealing with the remnants of living with an addict and in your childhood or in your marriage or what have you. And my hope today is that you have been inspired to, even if that person doesn't get help for yourself so that you can heal. Sometimes you have to let go of your ideal for that person and, and get help for you so that you can heal, and that, you don't let go of that person, but you let go of the ideals that you have, and you keep loving, you keep being present, but in the meantime, get help for yourself. And even if you are in the midst of dealing with addiction, whatever it might be, whether it's food, whether it's, what you said about like having accountability. Like there was a time, and still now, sugar is a real thing for me, cakes and, like I keep Hostess in business, so I have just understood that I need to just pay at the pump, because if I go in, I'm gonna get a snack. And it seemed like something small, but if I'm feeling bad about it, if I'm eating it, real quick before I go home, it's something wrong. Yeah. And so whatever it is, sometimes we minimize things, but if you know that you pre-diabetic or diabetic and you still are doing these harmful things, I encourage you to really get to the root of it, and get help for whatever that might be. It might be a wellness coach, it might be a trainer, it might be a rehab facility, it might be counseling, it might be therapy, it might be, spirituality, whatever that looks like for you. I encourage you to get help, be well. We always say at Relevant, the radio show, to be real, be relevant, and walk in the light. And truly, you have shown and you have provided so much light today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for Relevant Live.